Namaskar. I Shambhavi welcome you all to your channel Galactic Echoes. So let's start exploring the wisdom of Vedic astrology. So today we'll be doing the video about Rahu in all the 12 signs present in your Divine chart. What kind of results Rahu will give sitting in the Aries sign or in the Libra or in the Aquarius or in the Pisces, we'll try to figure it out today. But first, in the introduction of this video, I'll be explaining the workings of Rahu. So it will be very important for you to watch the introduction part, because if you'll skip this, then you won't be able to connect at that front. Basically your placement about the Rahu in a particular sign. So let's start the video and let's dive in. The basic working of Rahu is like there are numerous ways if you have to decode it, and the easiest way, if I have to tell you guys, is related to a magnet and the magnetism Rahu works upon, because Rahu and Ketu are taken to be north node and south node of moon respectively. So what does it represent is basically Rahu is a kind of a magnet, and it is working as a north pole of a magnet because it has magnetism in it. It wants to attract. So there are 3 to 4 things which are universal truth about this Rahu. The first thing is, it is not about obsession, it is about magnetism. Rahu is about. The second thing is that the Rahu is about future. It is not, the Ketu is the planet which is storing past memories, past karma and all of these things, but the Rahu is all about future, what I have in this lifetime and what I can do for the next coming up ones. The other thing is that the Rahu is all about selection. It works upon a keen selection. So you see, if let's say if someone's Rahu is placed in the sign of Leo, so people would say that they are obsessed with aura, they are obsessed with regal royalness. No, this is not so. Actually, people having Rahu in the sign of Leo, you will find them with really great people, authority yielding people. Why? Because Rahu will know, sitting in the sign of Leo, who is having that real authority and who is not. You see, it has that distinguished power in it. Ketu is the planet which accepts everything. You see, that is why Ketu is related to separation and this simplicity. But Rahu works upon selection and keen selection of all the things. So what Rahu is, what it is trying to tell us is that if you will present so many things to Rahu, it will choose the one which best fits. This is what Rahu is. It is not all about the obsession and chasing something aimlessly. This is not the Rahu-ness. Rahu-ness is more of a selective nature. It is more of a selective nature. So wherever the Rahu is placed, you will see that you are obsessed with the Karakas, but the Karakas will actually happen and they will manifest when your Rahu, your particular Rahu in the D1, in the D9 chart will be satisfied that yes, this is the level which I wanted to achieve and I have got it. I'll try that this thing, it gets manifested in my life or in this native's life for whom I am working. This is what Rahu is. You see, so it will attract people. Like if your Rahu is sitting in the sign of Venus, any sign, Libra or Taurus, it will attract women, it will attract beauty, it will attract artistic people towards you, but there would be a crowd which will be attracted to you, but the inner circle will be consisting only the most specific ones, will be consisting only the selective ones. The people who will be fulfilling your personal Karakas will be there in that inner circle of yours. So this is how the working of the Rahu is. It works like a magnetic force in our lives. So you see, magnet, what is a magnet? Magnet is a ferromagnetic substance. You see, it only attracts iron, cobalt or nickel. It does not attract wooden substances or other substances, maybe particularly plastic or something like that. The ferromagnetic substances are the only ones which are attracted, and they are they are having this magnetic force in them which about the repulsion and attraction. This is what is working only in the ferromagnetic substances. So you see, this is the selection of Rahu. When the things will be achieved, when the particular standards, levels will be fulfilled, then only the things will be attracted in your life. So that is why if someone is having Rahu in their Taurus sign, you will see them chasing hoarded wealth, comfort, luxury and all of these things, but they won't be wasting money aimlessly in their life. This is also the Karaka. This is also a kind of attribute which Rahu gives. You see why? Because they are chasing something higher in their life. It will not be achieved. They will not like give out a penny from their pocket. This is what Rahu is actually. The normal ones, the normal attributes, I am not telling you that here, because those are the attributes which you already know about. What I am here to tell you is the next level which Rahu is working like in our lives. So let's start the video and let's discuss the placement of the Rahu in each of the signs. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Aries in your chart, so the basic things which this Rahu will bestow in your life will be males. So whatever gender you belong to, whether you are female, male or other, this Rahu is going to surround you with males in your life. So it can be brothers, it can also be friends. The sense of achievement will really be the only thing in your life. Like your life would revolve around it, that you want to achieve something, you want to find your worth, your own worth, why you are present on this planet Earth. This is what this Rahu gives into the native. Now if this Rahu is not well placed, you can see that sometime you are misguided in your life. You are trying to achieve your status and everything, whatever the feeling of achievement is something which you want to feel, but because of the fact that this Rahu is not well placed in the chart, you can feel misguided. The other thing with this Rahu will be that the flow of energy in your body will be very high. Why? Because Rahu is nudging you to walk towards making new future. What new things I can do, what new beginnings I could start, because Aries is the sign of beginning, it is the sign of starting something new. You see, what new things are there which I can give birth to? Maybe a new course, a new business, a new job idea, or preparing for something new. If there is something, the person who can give utmost of their energy into this kind of a work. Mars is the dispositor of the Rahu, so you will have to check Mars where it is placed in your chart. It will say a lot of things about this Rahu, but basically you are like a powerhouse of energy with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Aries. The other thing is that because of the fact that Rahu is sitting in the Dharma Trikona sign wise in your chart, so the Dharma Trikona is activated by Rahu in your chart. What you will see is that the Rahu is making a kind of a shadow effect. It is giving a kind of a shadow effect to the truth. You see, this is the kind of a complexity which this Rahu will portray in your life. You won't be able to assess your own standing in life. You see, and even if you have achieved something really big, you won't be able to understand it, that yes, I achieved it, and still you are chasing something again and again in your life, that I have to achieve this, I have to achieve that goal. But with this Rahu, it is like a thing in your brain, in your mind, in your mental capacity, that you are forgetting the past achievements you have achieved. This is the thing which the shadow effect will be seen there with this Rahu. The other thing is that the Rahu's aspect on the Leo and the Sag sign, Sagittarius sign, all of the signs, all of the Dharma Trikona is actually activated. So this Rahu can also sometimes deviate your path from your true duties, because Dharma Trikona is about the duties a human has. What are the duties? What is the real truth in your life? What is the real truth? We are here to do our karma. So sometimes because of the fact that you are blindly chasing your goals, your duties are overlooked by you, and then is when the problem comes in your life. You see, so this is the only problem which this Rahu gives, that overshadowing your responsibilities, the truth and the achievement portion in your life, and the endless chase towards a new achievement is something which this Rahu gives. So this is the kind of a problem, this is the con of this placement. The pros of this placement would be that this Rahu is trying to give you a kind of a magnetic effect in the Aries sign. So what kind of a magnet it will be? You will be able to differentiate upon the innovative ideas which you have. Like, you'll have hundreds of ideas in your brain. We can start this and this and this, but you'll know which are the ones to be discarded and which are the ones to be worked upon. This thing will be prominent in your personality, that you will be able to judge people quickly and you will be able to segregate people based on their personality quickly. So only people who will be in your inner circle would be the ones you can, or anyone in the world can, blindly trust on. So you see, with this Rahu in the sign of Aries, no one can fool you with their maybe manipulative behavior, personality, or some other kind of attributes. You can really judge others based on their personality. You can also segregate the problematic ones and the really helpful ones in your life quickly. So this is also a kind of blessing which this Rahu gives. That is why you people can also do really good where this kind of relation building is required, the professions. So maybe sales, marketing or something like that. This is a kind of Rahu which nudges you to move towards body related physical areas or professions in your life, because energy is something which is overflowing in yourself and which is somehow nudging you to move towards the positive Martian qualities in your life. So this is how you will decode this Rahu placed in the sign of Aries. Let's move forward and let's understand the Rahu placed in the sign of Taurus. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Taurus, what you will see is that this Rahu will be nudging you to move towards all the karakas of the Taurus sign, which are sensory pleasures, luxury and everything. But the luxury is not Venusian related. What I mean to say here is that luxury in your definition, your definition of luxury is more of a comfort seeking luxury. Even if you are able to afford comfort in your life with minimal earning or spending, then it is all right. Rahu's energy is towards the comfort seeking Rahu, towards the comfort seeking life, sensory pleasures, eating well, smelling well, sleeping well, and all the sensory pleasures are something which this Rahu chases. Moreover, the Rahu sitting in the sign of Taurus, you will see that you will not be very much connected with your family members. Why? How is this possible? Because as I have told you in the introduction part of the video, if you haven't watched the introduction part, you should go and watch that. The Rahu works on selective magnetism. You see, there are 100 of options and the Rahu will only select 2, because these are the only 2 which are satisfying its goals. So the Rahu in the sign of Taurus highly indicates that you are the people who are only conversing and attaching to the family members who are able to satisfy your goals, your aims, or whom you think are the capable ones, with this Rahu in the sign of Taurus. Now the capability and your judgment with age will change, because Rahu is in the sign, in any sign there are 3 ages where this Rahu goes through transformation in everyone's life. You see, so in the childhood it's maybe some other family members are your favorite ones, in the middle age there are some others, and in the old age there are some others. So you will be really well accepted in your family. No one will say bad about you. Inner circle of yours, 2 to 3 people from your family on whom you will trust blindly. This is the selective magnetism of Rahu with this particular placement. The other thing is that it really has power of making wealth, because Rahu is exalted. It is taken to be exalted in the sign of Taurus. So building hoarded wealth, assets for your family, and all of the Venusian traits are really good, very good in this placement of the Rahu in the sign of Taurus, and you have the capability to make them. Because Rahu is sitting in the earth trikona, you are well informed about your calm, your desires. And now because Rahu moves in the retrograde motion, in a backward motion, it is sitting in the earth trikona, so it is telling you how you have to achieve those desires. You see, duty comes later for you, for all the people having Rahu in the sign of Taurus. It is the least thing which you will bother about. It is all about the earth, earning, how I have to earn. And earn doesn't mean that you are earning money. Earning is all related to Taurus, comfort seeking, luxury seeking, wealth seeking, stability seeking, the most important thing. So people having Rahu in the sign of Taurus can be sometimes they can be selfish because they have Ketu in the sign of Scorpio. So it is really a thing which we'll talk about in the upcoming videos. But Ketu is sitting in the sign of Scorpio will somehow realize you that attachment and the possessive nature towards wealth, family members and relationships is something which you have to let go of in this lifetime. This is the this is the kind of lesson you are here to learn on this planet Earth. So with this Rahu sitting in the sign of Taurus in the earth trikona in a fixed sign, it is all about my life, my rules. But later on in your life you will understand that this is not how the world works. You see, we have to inculcate Ketu in our lives. Now if you are having Ketu traits in yourself, if you are connected to the Scorpio sign, wherever it is falling in your D1 chart, then the Rahu traits would really go down. Then the Ketu will help you to maintain this Rahu in your life, because Ketu is really sitting in a better position from this Rahu. Ketu is Swarashi in your chart, you see. So that is where your actually attention should be rather than this Rahu, because if you involve this Ketu in your life more, Rahu will automatically come in. It will follow the Ketu. So this is how you will interpret this Rahu in the sign of Taurus. It will make you selfish, it will make you chasing money, hoarded wealth and all the stability in your life. Later on in your life you will realize this fact that all the values cannot be purchased from this particular money or wealth which you have hoarded. So this is the lesson which Rahu and Ketu axis in your chart will it is portraying, and the houses that they are placed in will really matter. So I have attached the playlist of the Rahu placed in all the houses of the D1 chart. You can go and watch it. But in basic sense, it is really a good placement if you align yourself with a balanced state with this Rahu Ketu axis. So let's move forward and let's understand the placement of the Rahu in the sign of Gemini. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Gemini, what you will see is that this Rahu is going to give you curiosity in the intellect, in the way you speak, in your communication. All of these things are led from this Rahu. Moreover, there is also the Ardra Nakshatra which falls in this Gemini sign, which is ruled by Rahu. So maybe if the Rahu is placed in the Ardra Nakshatra, certain things would differ, but it will really get strong in your chart then. And some scholars that take Rahu exalted in the sign of Gemini, but I personally believe that Rahu is exalted in the sign of Taurus but well placed in the sign of Gemini. So it really performs well in the sign of Gemini. So Rahu in the sign of Gemini will give you this kind of a curious nature. You want to study and know each of the things out there in the world. You want to process the information which is present. You want to learn data. As much data as one can give you is really someone important in your life. You attach high importance to that person who is giving you all the information which you need, or who is adding value into your life with this particular information. The other thing is that Rahu is sitting in this trikona of calm. So it is sitting in the calm trikona. So what it means is that it has traversed the whole of the moksha trikona and then it has entered your calm trikona, and then you were born at that time. Moksha is basically liberation. But what kind of liberation? Liberation is something which you will achieve when you will achieve the highest of the happiness. And your Rahu has traversed the moksha trikona. It knows what liberation is, what is the true sense of liberation, and then it has entered the calm trikona. So you see, calm trikona is followed by moksha trikona, but Rahu is moving backward. What it is showing is that Rahu is trying to make you understand that how you will be able to get this information and process this information, and you'll be able to process this intellect, how you will be able to make use of this intellect of yours so that the highest of the happiness is achieved in this lifetime for you. This is what this Rahu represents, sitting in the sign of Gemini in the Capricorn. So the Rahu is telling you to move towards future and see the future in terms of Gemini, in terms of information, in terms of data, in terms of analysis, in terms of intellect. This is what this Rahu is telling you. You will be surrounded with information in your life, that is for sure. The other thing is that because of the fact that Gemini is the sign of immature Mercurian traits, because Mercury's moon Trikona is Virgo, it is not Gemini. Gemini is the more immature form of Mercury. So the information here is more scattered. Maybe you will get so much of data, but if the Rahu is not well placed in a good house, then this data will be scattered in your brain somewhere. You won't be able to organize it and get something solid out of it. You see, this is the problem with this Rahu in this Gemini. But because it is sitting in a calm Trikona, it is knowing, it has that particular DNA itself, where it is telling you how you will achieve your desires so that you can achieve the highest of the happiness in your life, is really a blessing with this Rahu in the sign of Gemini. Ketu will be sitting in the sign of Sagittarius, so that is really a different topic to talk about. But Rahu is all about future, so Gemini is something which is all about future. This placement of the Rahu in the sign of Gemini, there will be selective magnetism towards cousins, siblings, younger siblings and friends. So what is the selective magnetism? I have explained it in the introduction part of the video, go watch it. But in the basic terms, you will be surrounded by all of them, friends, cousins and your younger siblings, your siblings in general in your life, but there will be only 2 or 3 on whom you will have complete trust. So you will know whom you have to trust in with respect to your siblings, your cousins, your friends. Only 2 or 3 people will be in the core group in your life. Like you will only have 2 to 3 friends very close to you, you will only have 2 to 3 siblings very close to you or cousins very close to you, but you will be really liked by all of them. This kind of a segregation is something which Rahu gives. It is not obsessing you with connection, speech or communication. Rather what it is giving is selective and magnetic kind of communication, speech and connections. So whatever connection you will make, it will be for the life. Whatever thing you will speak, it will be really solid and it won't be aimlessly blabbering out something. This is how Rahu performs in the sign of Gemini sitting in the D1 chart. Let's move forward and let's understand the placement of the Rahu sitting in the sign of Cancer. When you have Rahu placed in the sign of Cancer, what you will see is that this Rahu will make you chase emotional security. Now this is the chasing which I am telling you. This is not the obsession which I am saying. You see, obsession word is something which I am not using here in reference to this Rahu. Why? Actually what is the natural behavior of Rahu is. So what does this Rahu imply here is that you will seek emotional security, but you will only chase it till the level is not met in your life. So whatever standards you have set for this Rahu in the sign of Cancer, till the time they won't be matched, till the time you will not achieve those, this Rahu will nudge you to chase and chase and chase it. For example, if you are a Libra rising, so Rahu in the sign of Cancer will be falling in the 10th house of yours. So this emotional security is not only now emotional security, it is related to your public dignity. So till the time you are not able to invite the people in your home, or you are not able to post the pictures of your home on social media platforms of yours, you will chase it no matter what. That you get emotional security, you get a good comfortable home life, but this Rahu in the sign of Cancer will nudge you to chase it till the standards are not met. The other thing is that the Rahu in the sign of Cancer can also give an unconventional kind of a relationship with your mother. Now this unconventional attribute is very subjective. Maybe now if you are raised in a matriarchal household, then the unconventional nature would be something else, and if you are raised in a patriarchal household, then the unconventional household and the unconventional beliefs would be something else. But there would be some kind of an unusual relationship with your mother. You will have this kind of a thing in your life with this Rahu sitting in the sign of Cancer. The other thing is that your emotional status, if I have to tell you, emotional status is something which is not, you are not emotionally available to everyone, but people don't understand this. They believe that people believe that you are full of emotions, you have an ocean of emotions flowing inside you, but this is not the case. You are emotionally attached to the people who are coming in the inner circle, who are satisfying those emotional goals which Rahu has set for you. This is where selective magnetism of Rahu will work. You will be connected to people and they will think that you are emotionally connected to them, but this is not the case. In actual sense, you are only emotionally connected to 2 to 3 people in your life, and with them you will be with them no matter what happens. This is what the determination of Rahu is sitting in the sign of Cancer. Moon becomes the dispositor of Rahu. So yes, wisdom and all of these university and all of the karakas of knowledge, learning and college, university, all of these places is something which you will feel surrounded with in your lifetime. So maybe you are working as a professor, or someone in your family is working as a professor, maybe your father, your mother was a teacher, something that sort. So basically wisdom and learning will be constantly there in your lifetime. This is for sure. Rahu is sitting in the Moksha Trikona with this Cancer sign. In this Cancer sign, so what it shows is that because Rahu moves in a retrograde motion, it has traversed the whole of the Dharma Trikona. It has entered the Trikona of Moksha. Now what is Moksha? It is liberation. And liberation, what is liberation? Liberation in the most basic terms can be decoded as this highest level of comfort, happiness. This is what liberation is. When you will be at the apex of the pyramid, then is when you will talk about liberation. You see, this is what liberation is in actual sense. It is really materialistic. But because of the fact that Rahu has traversed the Dharma Trikona in your chart, it has traversed the whole of the Leo sign and now it has entered into the sign of Cancer, you will see that you are well known with the fact what are your duties, what is your truth, where is your standing in actual sense, in reality, in real life. Now what you will have to do is that you will have to work upon those and you will have to find the ultimate happiness, the ultimate liberation in this lifetime, because Rahu is all about future. You see, so future, what your future is nudging you towards? Liberation. This is what your future is nudging you to move towards. Find the highest of the truth which will satisfy your need, which will satisfy the need of the soul and the soul's journey. This is what Rahu represents. You see, Ketu sitting in the sign of Capricorn is something which you are here for. Ketu is liberation, Ketu is separation, Ketu is understanding of the real truth, and sitting in the sign of Capricorn tells that your karma is related to that. But you see how this Rahu Ketu axis is working in collaboration in your chart. In everyone's chart actually it is working in collaboration, but we fail to understand it. This is what Rahu represents in the sign of Cancer, that you have to attach, you will have to find the moksha, the liberation in your life, and the selective magnetism is something which will be applied to it. It will be a subjective thing for you. Liberation is subjective. For someone it is something else, for someone it is something else. Maybe for someone it is getting married, maybe for someone it is getting the highest job they are seeking, and maybe for someone it is about fulfilling the desires of their family. You see, this is what Rahu is representing. But it is your duty to find your particular liberation, to find your particular path towards liberation in this lifetime. This is what Rahu is telling you sitting in the sign of Cancer. let's move forward and let's understand the placement of Rahu sitting in the sign of Leo. Now when you have Rahu in the sign of Leo, what you will see is that this Rahu will get you, in this lifetime, this Rahu will attract you towards authority, towards father figures, towards government, towards the dharma, which is the dharma which is really great in sense. Basically it is fulfilling and it is serving a whole lot of people together. This is what the Leo sign is. You see, it is the second from the Cancer sign, so it is the karma of it is the stability of the public. You see, that is why Leo sign represents government, because if there is a government in the nation, then the people, the public of the nation, they are stable. So the Leo sign is something where your Rahu is sitting, and Rahu works on selective magnetism. And now if you have not heard of this term, go into the introduction section of this video and watch where I have explained this. But in the basic sense, selective magnetism is something which Rahu works upon. If there are 100 of the options represented in front of it, it will only select 2 out of it. Why? Because those 2 are the options which are satisfying its needs. You see, this is how the Rahu works. It is about obsession, it is about chasing rather than obsession, but it will only manifest when the needs will be met. This is what the Rahu is. Sitting in the Leo sign, it will really encounter and it will really attach you to so many authority yielding people in your life. You will have some kind of an unconventional relationship with your father. Maybe you will have a very friendly one, or in the negative sense also it can be abusive one. For that, your D1 chart will tell what kind of unconventional attributes are there present in your relationship with the father. But this Rahu will actually get you into really authoritative circles in your life. It can also get you a authority yielding position in your life. Why? Because Rahu is chasing the absolute authority. You see, and it knows it, and it is having the knowledge about segregation, which is the real authority and which is the sham. You see, this is what Rahu is representing in your chart. And when you know this kind of segregation, you will only entertain those people who will fulfill the needs you have in this lifetime of yours. The needs you are chasing. So that is why it is really a very strong placement of Rahu in the sign of Leo. And because Rahu is the collective consciousness of masses, it represents masses. It's the sign it rules is Aquarius sign of masses. So when there are so many people in your life supporting you and you are having their support, and the support is sitting in the sign of Leo, in the sign of authority, this authority is having no other option than to kneel down in front of you. Why? Because you have mustered the support of the masses. This is what Rahu represents. That is why this Rahu can really get you into authoritative positions in your life. No matter what you do, even if you are commission related work, even if you are doing project based works, this Rahu is chasing authority, and it will somehow, anyhow, it will get that. You see, this is what it represents. And the kneeling down of the authority in front of you does not mean that there is some politician or there is some a high authority yielding person and he is saying that I am leaving this chair and you sit on this particular position of mine. Yes, that can happen too, but there are specific combinations for that. The other thing is that what I am trying to say here is that they will really take you seriously with this particular position, you see, because they know the sun in your chart, it is knowing that you are the person who can really give that kind of a malefic effect in its house. You see, because Rahu is chasing sun, Rahu wants to become sun, and when it is sitting in the sign of Leo, it is now, it has, it has accepted that it is sun for your particular chart. So when Rahu is completely a sun, you will have to direct it wisely, because it can really, this position can really manifest as a boon or a bane. In both the sense it can be manifested as, but it will be on your shoulders to steer it into the correct direction. So Rahu sitting in the sign of Leo will attach you to famous people, fame, authority, and all of these things in the life. Basically limelight, the light which the sun is the karaka of. But will this thing be sustainable or not? Will it be short lived or not? This is something which will be decided by the sun, by its dispositor. So you should check the placement of the sun wherever it is placed. Now because Rahu is a shadow planet, so shadow effect will be there in some of the areas of the sign. So Rahu sitting in the sign of Leo can actually manifest as a shadow effect which will be affecting your dharma trikona. You see, the dharma trikona is the trikona which is reminding you of your duties, of your truth, of the universal truth also, but in the most basic terms it is about the truth which we have on this planet Earth, and we tend to neglect it, and this Rahu will magnify that tendency. So this is how this Rahu works in the sign of Leo. You will have to understand it from every perspective. There will be this shadow effect which will be felt on your duties. You won't be able to understand the duties. You have understood Earth, the sign of Virgo, which Rahu has traversed, you see, and now it has entered the sign of Leo, but the Leo sign is yet to be explored. Rahu has traversed the sign of Virgo, the earth trikona, and now it has entered the dharma trikona. Although the things would change if Rahu is AMATYAKARKA in your chart, now then it would have traversed the whole of the dharma trikona also. But in the most basic terms, what Rahu is trying to tell you is that you will be facing that illusion which it will be putting in your life from the perspective of dharma trikona, from the perspective of duty, from the perspective of all of these things in your life pertaining to the Leo, father, son, authority, and all of these things. But it is your duty, it will be your thing, it will be completely your responsibility to fight against it. You see, you will have to seek the help of Ketu in that, and if it is sitting in the Shadbisha nakshatra, then Ketu is also driven from this particular Rahu. Then everything will be depending upon the sun. So you see, this is what is represented in the chart. You really have a kind of a complex placement. It will be yours and your father's duty to convert this into completely a blessing, and you can convert it actually with this particular placement. So this is how you will decode the placement of the Rahu in the sign of Leo. Let's move forward. Let's understand the placement of the Rahu sitting in the sign of Virgo. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Virgo, what you will see is that this Virgo Rahu will give you intellect and thinking capabilities like Rahu. Now it is not bad that you are always trying to work on your selfish motives and everything. No, this is not the case. The Rahu intellect is quick intellect. You know how, when to exit something or when to enter it. You know what to speak and what not to. You have that kind of street smartness in you. Although the street smartness is more from Gemini sign, the immature qualities of Mercury gives this kind of street smartness, but there the energy gets scattered. Here the energy is not scattered and it is more organized, because Virgo is the sign of organizing, perfection. So Rahu is chasing perfection actually. It is also chasing stability, but it is chasing perfection which is followed by stability. Basically a perfect life, a perfect income source, because sitting in the earth trikona, so that stability is achieved, so that a stable household, a stable life is achieved. This is what Rahu is chasing in your chart. This is what Rahu is nudging you towards. Rahu sitting in the sign of Virgo will tell you, it will nudge you to only see the future actually. And sometimes you will see with Rahu sitting in the sign of Virgo that you people really have a struggleful past. You know, every passing year is a struggle for you. Why? Because the coming year is better from the previous one. So what you believe is that yes, the last year was something of a really struggleful period in my life, because this year is better than before, and subsequently the Rahu really performed well in this sign. Why? Because step by step it is moving you, it is nudging you to move upward in your professional life, in your earning, in your stability, and it is moving you towards perfection. It will also get you obsessed with daily routine, that you will want to work 24/7. You cannot sit idle. Even if you are sitting idle, you will constantly think about something with this Rahu in the sign of Virgo. But the fact is that it is selective magnetism which Rahu works upon. So what it shows is that you will, if you don't know the term selective magnetism, I have explained it in the introduction part of the video. You can go and watch there. But in the most basic term, selective magnetism is that if you have 100 of options present in front of you, you will only choose one or two. This Rahu will make you only choose one or two. Why? Because those two options are fulfilling and satisfying the Rahu's needs. This is what it represents. So Rahu sitting in the sign of Virgo will give you 100 of thinking and thoughts and options, but you will only act upon 2 or 3 of them, and they will give you like 99% of strike rate. This is what is represented. Overthinking is also something which you people struggle with, but with time, if Rahu is well placed in the sign in D9 chart in the Navamsa, and if you are moving in the right path, in the right direction, it will better itself with time. Upon the maturity of Rahu, that is after 42 years in your life, you will also see stability coming in, you will also see perfection coming in, and everything which was done with this aim that it will achieve perfection will really get manifest in your life. For that, Mercury also becomes very important. Wherever the Mercury is placed in whatever house, the Karaka of that house should be present to support this Rahu. If those Karakas are absent from your life, there is where the problem can be felt from. Maybe basically if Mercury is sitting in 7th house, and if you are not married till now, there is where the problem will be coming from. Post marriage, you will see this Rahu working better for you in your life. So this is how you will decode the placement of Rahu sitting in the sign of Virgo. Let's move forward and let's understand the placement of Rahu sitting in the sign of Libra. So when you will have the Rahu placed in the sign of Libra, what you will see is that in some way you are connected to women mostly. So somehow your profession or something is related to wealth, women and feminine energy in overall sense. It can also relate to the fact that wealth, diplomacy, negotiations and all kind of celebrations, party, relationships, partnerships, they form a core basis, like they form a core of your personality. This can also be seen with this Rahu placed in the sign of Libra. It will also represent that whatever relationship you will have in your life, like be it a short term relationship or a long term one, it will be very karmic when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Libra, because the Venus, the Karaka of marriage, is the dispositor of this Rahu, and the Rahu is controlling the Venus. Moreover, the Rahu placed in the sign of Libra, the Libra sign is actually the Mool Trikon sign of Venus. So it is the important sign of Venus, where Venus has like total, most of the attention of the Venus in the chart is on the Libra sign. So when the Rahu becomes, the Venus becomes a dispositor of Rahu through the Libra sign, it really shows that your wealth, your stability in life, the feminine relationships in your life, even if your this particularly your relationship with your friends too in some way, or to your firstborn daughter, will all be channelized by Rahu. So you will see that somehow the Rahu is impacting all the relationships in your life related to Venus. Venus is the Karaka of women, like basically in a male's chart it is all about wife, but it is also about the firstborn daughter. So this is what Venus represents, Rahu in the sign of Libra. Moreover, because of the fact that this Rahu is in the Kam Trikona, sitting in the Libra sign, and Libra sign is very important because it is the Mool Trikona sign of Venus and Saturn gets exalted there. So basically the people having Libra, you people are obsessed with balancing out the situations in your life so that you can achieve things at your work front and the Venusian related things. So basically wealth, luxury, relationships also. So ultimately it can also like manifest as a people pleasing behavior. Why? Because you want to create that balance, diplomacy, like you want to stand in two boats. This is what is represented with this particularly Rahu in the sign of Libra. And sometimes this particular thing, this particular approach can backfire. So this is how you'll have to channelize your Rahu, that your obsession with balancing is somewhere getting you dissolved. Why? Because you should also give, you will be very much interested. And why is it this balance which you are aiming at? Why is this obsession with this balancing? Because you are really interested in your particular interests. Why? Because Ketu is sitting in the sign of Aries. Now with this Ketu, about this Ketu I'll talk in my upcoming videos, but yes, self-interest and your self-driven motives are the things which are giving you this kind of an obsession. Now the most important thing which we tend to forget in today's world is that Rahu works on selective magnetism. Now if you don't know this particular terminology, I have explained it in the introduction part of the video. You can go and watch it there. But in the basic terms, selective magnetism is something like, if you are being presented with 100 options, you will only choose 2 or 3 among them. Why? Because those 2 and 3 are like satisfying your need to the fullest. This is what is the approach of Rahu. So what it represents is that Rahu gives obsession, and with obsession it creates hundreds of options in front of a person, but the selection is only involved upon meeting the standards. You see, this is what Rahu is. So how will we decode this particular theory, this particular nature of Rahu will be that it will give you delay in marriage. Rahu plays in the sign of Libra. Why? Because it will present 100 of options in front of you. So you will be engulfed in this kind of a loop of relationships, that you will have this kind of a relationship and you will feel, yes, this is the person I should marry to, and somehow it would break off. And this pattern would repeat so many number of times that you would start believing that I think this is the thing which I am destined for in this birth of mine. But in actual sense it is not so, and Rahu in the sign of Libra ensures that you get married, but the marriage particularly thing will only come when the standards would be fulfilled. You see, this is what it represents. Ultimately it will lead you towards marriage, towards the karma of marriage, because Rahu is a very karmic planet. You cannot dodge that particular karma of marriage. You are destined to do it, but it will come when you are destined for it. It will not come before or after that. Now let's move forward and let's understand the Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio, what you will see is that yes, you are obsessed with occult, mysticism, astrology, taboo topics, crime and mystery, thriller, all of these elements, all of the hidden subjects which are not very much talked about in the society. This is the kind of constant search you are having on your particular in your brain, in your personality, that you have to be constantly gathering information, and information in sense that it should be relating to some kind of a hidden or past thing. This Rahu is actually obsessing you towards all of these things. So what does it mean is that like you are the person who will, when visit to a kind of a fort which was abandoned maybe 200 years ago or a century ago, you would be the person to really go into the details of each and every monument present in it. Like, you know, this was the bathing area, and this was this particularly ritual area, and this was the playground, and all of these things. All of these things would really entice you a lot, that yes, this is something which, you know, is energizing me. This is what Rahu is like in the sign of Scorpio. Also, the sexual personality would be something totally different from your actual personality with this Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio. So whatever kind of a person you are, you would be 360-degree opposite to that in sexual matters. Now, whatever your personality is, according to your Lagna, according to your Atmakaraka, according to your Lagnesh placed in a particular sign, in a particular house, you can judge it, and you would see that yes, this Rahu is giving me a kind of completely 360-degree opposite personality in those particular matters. Also, with this Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio, like, you people are obsessed with all the things which are banned in the world now, or they are not taken to be that seriously in the world. Now, what does it mean is that, specifically, if we have to take an example, we can take trading as an example. Like, right now also in this world, so many of people, they believe that it is a gambling. It is not about speculation, it is not about the market and trading. All of these things are only gambling, and these are the things which entice you. You see, these are the things which entice you. Why? Because you know that there is something lacking in their understanding. The people, they are not able to understand it properly. So understanding the things which are misunderstood in the society is something you like are living for on this planet Earth. You know, this is the thing which is your vitamins and which is your minerals. Basically, you're feeding on these kind of things in this planet, on this planet Earth. Moreover, the Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio, if it is not well placed in a good house, it can also give you trouble, challenges and transformations, because Rahu is the karmic planet of transformation in itself. And if it sits in this particular sign in not a very good house, it can give you quick transformations. It can give you sudden transformations, and they would be very drastic with this particular placement. Now, you will have to check it if they will lead you to a negative life or a positive life, but these kind of a things will certainly be happening with you. Moreover, the Rahu is sitting in the Moksha Trikona. So, actually, you people, you are having this kind of a belief in yourself that ultimate happiness or joy is something which is to be achieved in this world. Now, because this is Rahu we are talking about, so it is all unnatural things we are talking about. So for you, it would be very unnatural. Maybe you want to enjoy a meal with your family, and maybe a simple meal with your family at dinner table every night. This is what your ultimate happiness is. This is what it represents. You see, it is not only about darkness, it is not only about those mystical things this Rahu portrays. With this Rahu, ultimate happiness is to be achieved, and that happiness will be subjective. And if I have to tell you in that sense, whatever you think is your ultimate happiness, actually this Rahu will make you achieve it. Now, for that particularly, you will have to check the placement of the house of the Rahu, where this Scorpio Rahu is falling in which house. For that, I have given the link in the description below of Rahu placed in all the houses of your Devon chart. You can go and watch there. But yes, on the more simpler terms, this particular Rahu will give you a kind of this chasing in your personality. Moreover, if we have to decode this Rahu in a more logical sense, in a more practical sense, so what you'll see is that this Rahu is more of a, the Rahu works on selective magnetism. Now, what is this selective magnetism? If you do not know this particular terminology, I have explained it in the introduction part of the video. You can go and watch it there. But particularly, if you want to understand it in the most basic terms, It is like if you are given 100 options for something, you would only choose 2 or 3. This is what selective magnetism is. Why? Because those 2 or 3 options are fulfilling the standards, your particular standard, to the fullest. This is what selective magnetism is. Alright. So now this Rahu is working on this particular thing. So you will see that your life is actually wrapped with this particular Rahu in the sign of Scorpio. It really suggests that your life was to get 100 times more transformation, 100 times more drastic changes in it. But because of the sitting, because of this Rahu, it only took 2 or 3 out of it. You see, it only allowed 2 or 3 events from the whole list. Why? Because those particular events are drastically satisfying the needs of the Rahu. So now, whatever transformation you have been through, it becomes very important. With this placement of the Rahu, you'll have to check it. You'll have to understand it. What I was doing before that and what I am doing right now. What is the change which occurred with this transformation? This is what is something which you'll have to study, which you'll have to understand this particular Rahu. Is it benefic for you or is it malefic for youth? Moreover, inheritance is something which this Rahu will, it will really make it possible. Like, even if you are in some kind of an inheritance dispute, actually you will get into a kind of dispute or in kind of some trouble related to your inheritance. You would see something happening there. But that is also a kind of transformation. That is also a kind of process which Rahu is, telling you to go through. This is what this Rahu represents. Inheritance is something which is guaranteed in your life, but it would not come like a cakewalk with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Scorpio. So this is what actually the placement is. This is like a 5-minute window to speak on this plant is too less. I can speak on it for maybe 1 hour. Then too, I'll not be able to explain it properly. So you see, this is the most mystical placement of the chart. And if you have it, you will be the only person who can decode it. Because you will be knowing the other placements of your chart with respect what kind of things are happening with respect to other planets in your chart. So check it and analyze it and let me know in the comment section below about what you feel with this Rahu placed in the sign of Scorpio. What mystical side you feel with this Rahu. Let's move forward. Let's understand the placement of the Rahu in the Sagittarius. Now, when you have your Rahu placed in the sign of Sagittarius, what you will see is that this Rahu will nudge you to move you towards all the philosophy, religion, orthodox systems of the world. Now, this does not mean that you are the blind follower of that particular, systems. What it does mean is that you are the one questioning. Why? Because Rahu is the person, is the energy which asks. It is not the follower. Rahu's energy is not the subservient ones. This is what is being represented. So, you have this kind of a energetic thing in your personality that you want to question everything. Now, this questioning comes from within. And why is it coming from? What is the thing which is sparkling this particular belief in you is the theme of understanding, that you want to understand everything from the core. Curiosity, because Rahu is the future in our chart. So you see future in the 9th house. So also your father's systems or business or whatever profession he is in, that particular profession is actually impacting you in several ways. Now, the several ways can be positive or the negative ones, depending on the position of the Rahu in your particular chart, your rising, your AMATYAKARKA and all of these things, basically the working of your chart. All of these things would depend on that, but Rahu makes you obsess with this particular 9th house, your father, his profession. So fortune also, building fortune. So maybe your father was the person who built some kind of a fortune in his life or something like that. But because of this Rahu you have, you want to understand the basic working of it, that how was he able to do that, and is this system replication, you want to replicate that system too, that I want to establish something new, something totally different from what my father is doing, but I want to similarly replicate his success, or similarly replicate his systems, or his profession, his authority. This is what represents. This Rahu sitting in the Sagittarius sign will also reflect in your personality, in your personality, in your how the way you speak, you talk, the words you use, all of these things would be channelized by this Rahu. So maybe you have this particular habit of referring to dictionaries very often. Like, there are people who, when encounter some kind of a word, they bypass it very quickly, but you are the person who would stick to it. Like, if you have been born before the digital era, you would have had 2 or 3 dictionaries at your home. This is a particular placement with which this Rahu in the Sagittarius sign suggests. Rahu in the Sagittarius sign can also give obsession with some kind of a philosophy. Now, what this philosophy is, it will be depending on what house this Rahu is sitting in. So, let's say if you are a Virgo rising, the philosophy would be revolving around comfort, your mother, how she is doing something. You would see your mother as your father figure instead of your own father. Moreover, you can also see that, how to make a comfortable life, how to lead a comfortable life, how to travel a lot around world. With this particular Virgo rising in your D1 chart, this Rahu will suggest this. If you have Rahu in the Sagittarius sign, maybe in the 10th house, you are a Pisces rising, this would represent it is all about work, it is all about status, it is all about public dignity. You want to establish yourself as some kind of a mentor, guru at your work front. Now, this does not mean that you want to teach people something, but you want to make something right. This is what this Rahu represents when it sits in the sign of Sagittarius, that you want to implement something from real understanding, that you want to change the systems which are already prevalent in the society, and you want to make things right with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius. It would also depend on what kind of Jupiter you have in your chart, where the Jupiter is, if it is retrograde or not. All of these things would alter the decision, alter the results. But actually, you are the people who would not blindly believe on the blindly believe on this presence of God, which is preached from the traditions, or which is taught us from the old texts. This is what is being seen here. You would be the person who would be questioning it. Why is it written in this way? I am not saying that you are not a believer of this great consciousness, that there is no existence, that you are doubting the existence of God. It can happen in certain placements, but you believe that yes, there is something which is present in the world, which is a metaphysical being, and it is not it is unexplainable, but the way we are being taught about it is wrong. You are questioning the systems, not the energy, the great energy. This is what is being represented with this Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius. Also, with this Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius, like Rahu has this nature of selective magnetism. Now, if you do not know the terminology, I have explained it in the introduction part of the video. But basically, Rahu has this tendency of working in selective magnetism. Now, what is this? Like, this is the approach where you are being given 100 of the options, but you will choose only 2 or 3 among them. Why? Because those 2 and 3 are fulfilling your desires, are fulfilling your standards to the fullest. This is what represents Rahu in the sign. This is what represents Rahu. Now, Rahu works on this kind of a thing. So, with this particular thing, you would see that maybe you will get higher admission in so many either universities, but you will only select top-notch ones, or you would be given chance of pursuing a particular course in higher studies, and the options would be available at your disposal, but you would be the one selecting one from it, because You believe that yes, this is the particular course which is satisfying my need. The Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius can also represent that you might go into higher studies later on in your life too, maybe after 30 years of your age or 32 years of your age, but so many other things would also have to be judged for that particular thing. But basically what it means is that you are obsessed with learning, with understanding, with understanding the systems, philosophy, all of these things, and you will get things out of, on your disposal. You will get books easily, university admissions easily, but there would be plenty of options available for you to choose from. This is what this Rahu represents. It works on selective magnetism. Also, your father would be this kind of a personality that he will be given superior choices in his life related to learning, higher education and all of these things, but he will also have this kind of a particular authority in himself, either to reject it or accept it, with this particular placement of Rahu in the sign of Sagittarius. Also, you will have to see if this Rahu is in conjunction with someone or is in conjunction with some planet or not. All of the results would change then, but in the basic terms, this is how we decode Rahu placed in the sign of Sagittarius. Now let's move forward. Let's understand the placement of Rahu in the sign of Capricorn. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Capricorn, so Rahu is in its master's domain, that is Saturn's domain. Saturn becomes the dispositor of Rahu here with this particular placement. The thing which you will see is that you are obsessed with organizing things, big organizations, authority, public dignity, and all of these things. Basically, you want to work hard to achieve something in your life. Is something, this is a kind of basic philosophy in your life with this Rahu in the sign of Capricorn. It would also represent that your Rahu in the sign of Capricorn would actually attach you to some big organizations in your life, great authority yielding organizations in your workspace actually. Why? Because Saturn becomes the dispositor of Rahu. So Rahu is channelizing your work front with this particular placement. So Rahu in the sign of Capricorn is actually all about Saturn and your career, your public dignity. So whatever you will do related to your career front, so if you are enrolled in a professional course or if you are going towards some training or something like that, even which is slightly related to your career, it would be of high dignity with this Rahu. It would really be. So even if you are working from home digitally, but you are working for some MNC which is of great brand and something like that, with this particular Rahu in the sign of Capricorn, somehow gets irritated. Why? Because Capricorn is the sign only ruled by Saturn, and the slow and steadiness and the patience is what it represents, this sign of Capricorn. It represents the crocodile which sits and waits for its hunt, for its prey. These are what are the basic elements of this particular sign. Now when Rahu is placed here, the kind of opposite energy, Rahu wants to be the quickest moving planet. It wants to shine like a sun. It wants to move like a sun. It wants every other planet to revolve around this imaginary planet, this imaginary node in our solar system, because it wants to become sun. The first thing which will come is that you can really get to higher positions in your particular work front if this Rahu is well placed in your chart specifically. Why? Because this Rahu will find a kind of digbal in the sign of Capricorn, because Sun is finding the digbal in the sign of Capricorn, and Rahu wants to become the Sun. So Rahu is imitating like this Sun. You see, this is what this Rahu represents in the sign of Capricorn. The only irritation would come from the opposing energies which are colliding in this union, because Rahu wants to act fast, move fast. This energy of Rahu is not in the habit of thinking about the results or the impact. Totally opposite to it is Saturn and the sign of Capricorn. So you see, you might find yourself sometimes fickle minded, specifically at your work front. Like if you get a job opportunity with this particular placement, you would be in dilemma every time, that should I accept this offer or not, is it viable for me or not, will it fetch me gains in the future or not. All of these things are something which will trouble you with this particular placement. Now the only remedy for this particular placement would be Ketu sitting in the sign of Cancer, but Saturn's and Sun's axis also becomes very important with this Rahu in the sign of Capricorn. You would work hard to achieve something big in your life. And actually, when you will find yourself on the doorstep of that particular opportunity, you would be put in this particular dilemma. This is what I am trying to explain you here. And to fight with this dilemma is only the Ketu, which you will have to understand, about which I will be talking about in upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. But basically, Rahu in the sign of Capricorn gives obsession with public dignity too. This is what I am telling you. You want to achieve high so that you can shine in the public sphere of your life too. You are well received by your relatives and everyone at your work front and in society in general. This is what this Rahu represents. Also, I must tell you, the Rahu is sitting in the Earth Trikona, and it is a very good placement for Rahu to be in Earth Trikona. Only problem would come from Saturn, because now Saturn is not in the control of Rahu, rather Rahu is under the control of Saturn, because it is sitting in the domain of Saturn and the Saturn is the master of Rahu. You see, this is how the Rahu is not able to work according to its own terms. This is what it represents. Moreover, the Rahu in the sign of any sign, basically the nature of Rahu, it works on selective magnetism. Now what is this selective magnetism? It is as if you are having 100 options for something available, but you would only choose 2 or 3 out of those. Why? Because those 2 or 3 options are fulfilling the desires and they are giving you satisfaction to the fullest, instead of all the other 99 or 98 options present there. Now I have explained this particular term in detail in the introduction part of the video. You can go and watch it out there, but basically this is what Rahu works on. This is what the Rahu's nature is actually. So Rahu, with this particular nature and working method, working approach, would somehow make you go for 100 of opportunities at your work front, and it will make you work hard for those. So you would actually start 10 new projects at once with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Capricorn. Now the projects are related to your work front, also related to applying to the opportunities or positions at other companies too. Like you would apply on 10 to 25 different companies simultaneously. This is what it represents. Actually, you would so work hard that you would hear back from the 12 out of those 25 companies, and now you have 12 options open in front of you. With this Rahu in the sign of Capricorn, will make you choose the best ones. You see, this is what it represents. That is why this Rahu in the sign of Capricorn can really take you at high levels in your professional front. This is how you climb that particular corporate ladder with this particular placement in the sign of Capricorn. Although the Rahu's workings would also depend on the Saturn's placement, its conjunction, and the sign the Saturn is placed in. But basically this Rahu in the sign of Capricorn can give you, like 90% of the times, it is giving good results to the people if you are a hardworking person and if you want to work with utmost dedication and obsession at some particular thing in your life, on some particular target in your life. So this is how you decode the placement of the Rahu in the sign of Capricorn. Let's move forward and let's understand the placement of Rahu in the sign of Aquarius. Now when you have Rahu placed in the sign of Aquarius, this is a kind of tricky placement when you have Rahu in the sign of Aquarius. How? Because although Rahu is sitting in the Mool Trikona sign of Saturn, so somehow, yes, we can say that Saturn is impacting this Rahu, because Saturn is the master of Rahu, so we cannot say that Rahu is impacting Saturn. But with this particular sign, it is the co-ruled sign of Rahu along with Saturn. So Rahu is also having some kind of this particular authority in this particular domain of Aquarius. So the Saturn's axis with Rahu becomes subjective. Now if the Saturn is not retrograde, or if it is not combust in your chart, then we can say that yes, this Saturn can impact this Rahu. If this Saturn is retrograde, So Saturn is not impacting this Rahu. Rahu is the one impacting Saturn. If this Saturn is combust, then the Sun is someone impacting this Rahu. You see, the dynamics would change with particular placement of the Saturn. Also, Rahu in the sign of Aquarius, it is sitting in its Swashetra, because the sign is co-ruled by Rahu itself. So Rahu has its authority there, because Saturn is not, if Saturn is sitting here, then the things would be completely different, because it is then a battle with between the master and the servant. You see, this is what it represents. But if Saturn is sitting somewhere else in your chart, this becomes Rahu's domain completely. So whatever house it is, actually whatever house it is in your chart, it would see extreme unorthodox kind of systems, approaches and events in your life, that particular house. So if this Rahu is placed in the 9th house in the sign of Aquarius in your chart, your father would be someone completely of an unorthodox mindset. This is what it represents. So wherever this Rahu is placed, it would completely suggest like the systems which we have not imagined. Now the systems which would come, the approaches which would come with this particular placement of the Rahu would not be destructive. This is something which you have to understand. Why? Because Rahu is sitting in its own sign. So Rahu is given importance in your chart. It has been given relevance in your chart. And Ketu is sitting in the sign of Leo. Ketu is an aggressive planet. So Rahu Ketu axis is in a good position in your chart. So somehow this Rahu is actually giving this particular, it has been given this particular authority in your chart, this particular importance in your chart. You were born in those particular 1.5 years when Rahu was in its most comfortable position in the entire solar system. So when you took birth at that time, this represents that the Rahu cannot be a destructive force in your chart. It is the most constructive force. Whatever the Rahu's impact will be on whatever house, it would try to construct it. It would try to rebuild it or build it from scratch. So let's say if you have Rahu placed in the sign of Aquarius in the 1st house, you would see yourself getting sagged by some events, some transformations in your life, completely sagged, and then you would see yourself completely bouncing back from that particular situation. Why? Because this Rahu will make sure that you go back to this particular authority in your life, because Rahu has to manifest its particular philosophy. Moreover, Rahu in the sign of Aquarius represents some kind of practical, some kind of social work, some kind of work which is attributing and addressing the masses in general, the public. You see, the basic common man like you and me. This is what this Rahu represents. That Rahu in Aquarius wants to work for the public. Why? Because it is not battling for its authority in your chart. This is what it represents. So now what it will do is that it would make things better, make the world better for the other beings. And only the Rahu can do this particular feat in today's world. No other planets can have this particular kind of a thing. Has this particular kind of energy in itself left, because we are living in the world of Rahu. We are living in Kali Yuga. You see, this is the constructive Rahu. You are seeing me through this particular domain, this particular platform. This is what has been bestowed to us by Rahu. This is the Aquarius Rahu which we are using till now. It is making our life easier. It is connecting us together. You see, Aquarius is the sign of basically the masses, the general. So we are connected to each other with the most basic things. Like, it has become the most common thing in our life today, this particular social media platform. The other thing is that your karma would be satisfying this kind of a thing in others' life too. So whatever you will do, it would have an impact, a great impact on a large audience with this particular Rahu in the sign of Aquarius. And you should aim at such professions which are connecting you to public, to general masses in general, because if you won't do that, this Rahu will give you trouble. Moreover, the Rahu is placed in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is it is the original 11th house of our chart. It represents our desires, it represents our hopes, wishes. It is the Kam Trikon. It is the last Rashi, the last sign of the Kam Trikon. The most mature desires, the most mature wishes, hopes we have. Rahu is also about our future. You see, this is what it represents. After it is moksha, the ultimate moksha is the sign of Pisces. You see, is the sign of spirituality, the utmost spirituality, the highest level of spirituality is what will come next. Or if we have to keep it in terms of Rahu, this is what Rahu has traversed already. You see, so this Rahu is actually knowing the truth, the ultimate truth of the world, and now it is focusing on the future. So what it represents is that the strong placement of Rahu in your chart can take you to places with this particular placement. Why? Because the Aquarius sign is somewhere its domain, and it has its energy completely unleashed here, and when it can work on its terms, on its everything, specifically if your Saturn is retrograde and it is not combust, then this is all Rahu's chart actually, if I have to be very honest with this particular placement. So now when you have heavy influence of Rahu in your chart and constructive influence, if I have to be completely on that track, it is all about constructivism. You can think out of the box, you can think of the innovative ways which no one else can think of, and you can actually implement it, and the implementation of the work would come from the means or through the things no one would have ever imagined. This is what Rahu's power is, and it would be seen in your chart, it would be seen in your lives with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Aquarius. So the Kam Trikon thing which I was telling you is more towards the desires. They are the mature desires. So you are not the person who would want to want an ice cream on weekends. This is not what your desires are actually. Your desires are huge and they are more mature, and with this Rahu you are capable of achieving it. So you'll have to channelize this Rahu in a more constructive way, in a more positive way, and you should be looking at the areas in your life which are to be mended, which are to be worked upon with this Rahu, because it can really make you a successful person in all the areas connected with Rahu. Also, if I have to be very specific about the nature of the Rahu works on selective magnetism. Selective magnetism is the term which I have explained in the introduction part of the video. You can go there and watch it. But basically Rahu, the selective magnetism of the Rahu is, if you are given 100 options to choose among, from them you would only choose 2 or 3. Now these 2 or 3 options are the ones which are impacting you, and they are fulfilling your desires, your satisfaction to the fullest. That is why you are choosing those. So when you have these 2 or 3 particular options being chosen, this is what the selective magnetism is, and Rahu works upon it. So if I have to put it in your charts terms, in the astrological terms, what you will see is that you will get opportunities, you will get ample amount of opportunities where all of those would be destined, and upon this particular achievement, you would be at the place to select 1 or 2 from them. This is what selective magnetism is, and actually this Rahu will make you choose which would be best suiting your desires, your needs, your satisfaction. This is what it represents with this Rahu. So it is really a very great placement, it is really a very good placement. You just have to channelize it into the correct direction. So let's move forward and let's understand the placement of the Rahu in the sign of Pisces. Now when you have this Rahu placed in the sign of Pisces, what you will see is that you have obsession with otherworldly things with this particular Rahu. Like otherworldly, what I mean to say here is space, universe, the working of universe, and all of those quantum physics subjects, disciplines, topics. They really entice you a lot. You think out of the world. The global warming is something which is not of your concern. the the animals and their protection is something which is not of the concern of yours. It is all about the thing which is beyond this particular planet Earth. This is something particularly. Spiritualism is also something which is represented with the sign of Pisces. So this is also the the realm which you would want to explore in your life once. Moreover, the exploration of the spiritual realms would not come as if very natural to you. It would not come as if you are the person who is a devout believer of your religion, but as someone who is exploring it as a discipline, as a subject. You want to understand the workings. You see, you are curious about the workings. This is what this Rahu in the sign of Pisces represents. Moreover, the Jupiter's placement in your chart would also be very important, and actually the Rahu's placement in a moksha trikona, Rahu sits in the sign of Pisces, Jupiter becomes the dispositor. So your teacher, your mentors, your religion, your philosophy, and the quality of your marriage is something which would be something completely related to exploration. Like you would want to explore all of these realms. So you would want to explore the personality of your mentors, personality of your gurus. You would want to understand the nature of your marriage. You would want to understand the quality of your marriage. How is your relationship with your spouse with this particular placement. That is why with this particular point, it relates to the fact that you would be very much interested in the workings of the approaches of bedroom pleasures too. With this Rahu plays in the sign of Pisces, you would think about it, that how it had evolved. Everything, the basic, the understanding is something which would make you curious about it. Moreover, the Rahu plays in the sign of Pisces can also represent you are someone connected to foreign lands or obsessed with foreign lands also. That if you are living in West, it is all about East, and if you are living in East, it is all about West. So you see, people who are born in the eastern side of the planet, but they eventually end up settling in the western side, is this particular placement, Rahu in the sign of Pisces, and the vice versa can also happen. So the foreign lands is something of a subject which is really important in your life. So your birthplace is something which does not very much which does not entice you a lot. Moreover, Ketu sitting in the sign of Virgo will tell you a different story, will tell you this particular understanding, why this, what this understanding is actually fueled from is Ketu in sign of Virgo. I will be discussing it in upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. But basically the Rahu in the sign of Pisces is all about the things which are abstract in the world. Imagination, sleep. You might also get vivid dreams with this particular placement of the Rahu in the sign of Pisces. But yeah, if you are a Pisces rising or something like that, it would enhance. But if you are maybe a Libra rising or something like that, things would change a lot. Moreover, the placement of the Rahu in the Navamsa chart with this particular sign placement becomes very important. So wherever the Rahu is placed in the Navamsa chart, in whatever sign, it will have a complete say over that area of your married life. So you should always check it with this particular placement. Moreover, if I have to be telling you about the nature of the working of Rahu, so it works on selective magnetism. Now what is the selective magnetism? I have explained the term in the introduction part of the video. You can go and watch it there. But basically, in the basic terms, the selective magnetism is something, if you are being given 100 options for something to choose from, so you would only choose 2 or 3 among them. Why? Because those 2 and 3 are fulfilling your satisfaction, your desires, your hopes, wishes to the fullest. This is what is the basic working of Rahu. So with this particular placement of Rahu in the sign of Pisces, it represents that you will be given so many options from that particular sign, from that particular realm, but you would only choose the 1 or 2 which you would think are fulfilling your desire. So the sign of Rahu, the placement of the Rahu in a particular sign would ultimately make you would ultimately fetch you authority in that area. So what it represents is that when you will think about migrating to a place or settling somewhere abroad and leaving your country, your own birthplace, you would be given like so many options to choose from, and those options would always be, you know, top notch. All the options would be actually top notch, but you would only choose 2 or 3 out of them, and people would not be able to understand that why you have chose those particular you know, options, and they would understand it later on that you know, selected them because they were fulfilling your own interest, your own particular desires. Rahu is a very karmic planet sitting in a Moksha Trikona. It also represents, so it also represents whatever house this particular, you know, Rahu is placed in your chart. It will somehow bring karmic people from that realm, karmic relationships from that realm, particularly when this particular placement is there in your chart. So the selective magnetism is something which you will always, your Rahu will work on. Everyone's Rahu is working on that particular approach. So this is something, you know, you would feel that you are being given some kind of an authority, some kind of a better position of dignity than your birthplace. Always is with this placement of Rahu in the sign of Pisces. Now this was my understanding about Rahu placed in all the signs of your D1 chart. Do not forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. Also, please subscribe to Galactic Echoes Astrology for more such quality content. Thank you.